Before we start, I want to say that only 1% of you are subscribed. Please subscribe because when we reach 1,000 subscribers, I will post a special video for you. Jason had just finished unloading the last box when a soft chime echoed through his sparsely furnished apartment. Wiping the sweat from his forehead, he glanced at the door, where a digital display blinked with a message, "Visitor detected." He tapped the panel, and the door slid open to reveal a tall figure with a slightly iridescent glow emanating from under their skin. The alien, with eyes like swirling galaxies, gave him a small, tentative smile. "Hi, I'm Zara. I live next door," she said, her voice a melodious blend that seemed to resonate with the very air. "Jason, just moved in," he replied, extending a hand. Zara took it, her touch cool and electrifying. "Human, right? I read about your kind. It's nice to finally meet one," Zara said, looking genuinely intrigued. "Yeah, that's me, human through and through. And you are?" "I'm a Zeltrian. We're known for our empathic abilities and, well, our bioluminescence," she explained, a gentle light pulsing beneath her skin as she spoke. "Bioluminescence, huh? That's really something. I've never met a Zeltrian before." Jason gestured around the bare apartment. "I'm still setting up the place. Sorry for the mess." "No worries. It actually looks quite homely already," Zara observed, her gaze sweeping across the room. "If you need help with anything, I'm just next door. Us neighbors should stick together. I might take you up on that. It's been a long day, and I haven't even started on the tech setup yet. Can't get the home AI to sync with my devices." "Oh, I'm good with tech. Would you like some help?" Jason chuckled. "That would be great. Honestly, I'm a bit lost with the newer models." As Zara stepped inside, another figure appeared in the doorway. A middle-aged man with robust features and a friendly demeanor waved at Jason. "Hey there, I'm Carl." Another neighbor from across the hall. He called out as he approached. "Saw the moving truck earlier. Wanted to welcome you to the block." "Thanks, Carl. I'm Jason, and this is Zara from next door. She was just about to help me out with some stubborn tech," Jason said, introducing them. "Nice to meet you, Zara. You know, we should all get together sometime. Maybe have a little welcome party for Jason here," Carl suggested, his voice booming with enthusiasm. "That sounds like a fantastic idea," Zara responded warmly. "What do you say, Jason? It could be a nice break from unpacking." Jason laughed. Sure, why not? It's not like I had plans other than figuring out where to put 100 boxes. "Great. Let's aim for this weekend. We can do it in the community lounge. I'll bring drinks, and we can all chip in with some snacks," Carl said, already planning. "That gives me something to look forward to," Jason admitted. "Thanks, guys. I didn't expect such a warm welcome. It's what neighbors are for," Zara replied with a smile that lit up her face, literally. Carl clapped his hands together. "All right, I'll leave you two to it then. Jason, see you around, and Zara, always a pleasure." With Carl gone, Zara turned her attention back to Jason. "Now, about that AI system of yours. Let's take a look and see what we can do." Jason led her to the central living area where his equipment was piled up. "I appreciate the help, Zara. I guess this is what they mean by neighborly love." "Huh, exactly," she said, her smile glowing softly in the dim light of the apartment. "Let's get started." As they bent over the tangle of wires and manuals, Jason felt a surge of gratitude. New place, new friends. It was more than he could have hoped for on his first day. After a week on the space station, Jason was slowly getting used to the gentle hum of the complex's life support systems and the multicultural vibe of his new neighborhood. However, it was his encounters with Zara that truly marked his days. Each interaction seemed to reveal a new layer of the Zeltrian culture and physiology. One evening, after a joint cooking session involving an ambitious attempt at a dish from Zara's planet, Jason noticed that Zara seemed unusually restless, her skin shimmering more intensely than usual. "Everything okay, Zara?" Jason asked as he handed her a plate. The scent of spiced Zeltrian vegetables filled his apartment, a stark contrast to the sterile corridors outside. Zara took a deep breath, her luminous eyes flickering. I'm entering what you might call mating season. It's a bit uncomfortable at times. Mating season? Jason echoed, trying to keep his tone neutral despite his surprise. Does it affect you, physically? It's more than just physical. It's emotional and somewhat spiritual for us. Our senses heighten, and we can become quite sensitive to emotional energies around us, Zara explained, her voice a mix of embarrassment and amusement. Sounds intense. Is there anything I can do to help? Jason asked, genuine concern lacing his words. Just be understanding, I guess. It's a bit awkward to talk about, but it's just a natural part of life for us, Zara replied with a shy smile. The next day, Jason met Carl in the corridor, his neighbor carrying a toolbox, presumably heading out to fix something again. Hey, Carl, Jason greeted. I was talking to Zara last night, and she mentioned it's her mating season. Seems like a big deal for Zeltrians. Carl chuckled, scratching his head. The joys of living in a multicultural space station, always learning something new about the neighbors. Need any help with that info? It's a bit outside my experience, yeah. She said it's not just physical, but emotional too. Makes you think about how different our cultures are, huh? Jason mused. Definitely, Carl agreed, leaning against the wall. But it's what makes life out here interesting. Maybe we should do something to make her feel more comfortable? I read somewhere that Zeltrians appreciate ambient sounds that mimic their home environment. That's a great idea, Carl. Maybe we can set up something in the community lounge, some Zeltrian ambient sounds. Make it a bit of a theme night. Jason suggested. I like the way you think. Let's plan for this weekend. I'll dig up some info on Zeltrian environments, and we can make a night of it. It'll be good for all of us to learn more about where she comes from, Carl said, warming to the plan. Sounds like a plan. I'll talk to Zara. See what she thinks, Jason said, feeling a renewed sense of community. Later that evening, Jason knocked on Zara's door, a printout of Zeltrian landscapes in his hand as a visual aid for their upcoming theme night. Zara, Carl, and I were thinking about hosting a Zeltrian night in the lounge this weekend. Thought it might make you feel more at home, Jason said as she welcomed him in. Zara's face lit up, both figuratively and literally. That's incredibly thoughtful of you, Jason. I'd love that. It's amazing how supportive and open you've been. We're all in this together, right? Neighbors in the truest sense, Jason replied, feeling the warmth of a growing friendship. As they discussed plans for the evening, Jason couldn't help but feel that despite the vastness of space and the diversity of its inhabitants, the simple acts of kindness and understanding were what truly held the universe together. The idea of a Zeltrian-themed night seemed to spark a new level of camaraderie among the residents of the complex. Over the next few days, Jason and Carl, with Zara's guidance, transformed the community lounge into a semblance of a Zeltrian habitat. They installed soft, pulsing lights to mimic the bioluminescence of Zara's home world and played recordings of Zeltrian ambient music, which filled the space with soothing, otherworldly sounds. On the day of the event, Jason found Carl in the lounge, making last-minute adjustments to the light settings. Hey, Carl, how's it going? Need a hand with those lights? Jason asked, noticing Carl fiddling with the remote. Yeah, these settings are a bit tricky, but I think I've almost got it. Want to give it a try? Carl handed him the remote with a relieved smile. Jason tweaked a few settings, changing the lights to a gentle wave pattern that slowly cycled through a range of cool blues and greens. How about that? Feels like underwater without getting wet. Perfect. Zara's going to love this, Carl chuckled. Hey! Thanks for helping out with this. It's good to see everyone pitching in. No problem, Carl. It's been fun setting this up. Makes the station feel more like home, Jason replied, scanning the room, satisfied with their work. As residents began to arrive, the lounge filled with a mix of curious and excited chatter. Zara entered the room, her expression one of awe as she took in the decorations that mirrored her planet's environment. Zara, welcome. What do you think? Jason greeted her at the door. "This is incredible, Jason Carl. It feels like a piece of home," Zara responded, her voice thick with emotion. Carl beamed. "We're glad you like it. It's all about making everyone feel included." The evening progressed with residents mingling and enjoying Zeltrian cuisine that Zara had prepared. Jason found himself in a deep conversation with another neighbor, Mark, a human who had recently transferred from another sector of the galaxy. "So, Jason, how are you finding the station so far?" "Settling in okay," Mark asked, holding a plate of the alien delicacies. "It's been great, especially with neighbors like Zara and Carl. Events like this make it easy to feel connected," Jason explained, taking a sip of his drink. "I agree. It's my first time being this far from Earth. But this," Mark gestured around the room, "this makes it easier." "Definitely. Hey, have you met Zara yet?" "She's the star of tonight's show," Jason said, motioning over to where Zara was standing. "Not yet, but I've heard a lot about her." "Lead the way," Mark replied with a smile. Jason led Mark over to Zara, who was explaining some of the photographs of her planet to a small group. "Zara, this is Mark, another Earthling. Mark, this is Zara, our wonderful neighbor and guide to all things Zeltrian," Jason introduced. "Pleasure to meet you, Zara." Mark extended his hand, which Zara took warmly. "The pleasure is all mine, Mark. I hope you're finding the evening educational," Zara said, her glowing smile infectious. "I am. It's fascinating to learn about other cultures, especially firsthand from someone from the planet," Mark responded, clearly engaged. As the group continued to chat, Jason felt a profound sense of satisfaction. The space station was a melting pot of cultures and species, and tonight had brought them a little closer, weaving a tapestry of shared experiences and mutual respect. By the end of the night, as guests started to leave, Carl patted Jason on the back. "Well done, Jason. This was a hit. We should do something like this more often." "Agreed. It's been a great way to build community," Jason said, already thinking about the next event they could host. The evening had not only been a success in terms of entertainment, but also in deepening the bonds of this diverse spacefaring community. The success of the Zeltrian-themed night lingered in the air long after the event had concluded, leaving a palpable sense of camaraderie among the residents of the station. Jason noticed that even the usually reticent neighbors seemed more open and friendly as they passed in the hallways. One evening, while Jason was returning from a supply run, he bumped into Carl and Mark in the corridor, who appeared to be deep in discussion about the station's upcoming upgrade to the communal areas. "Jason, just a man. We were talking about pitching in to help with the new rec area upgrades. What do you think?" Carl asked, clapping Jason on the shoulder. "Sounds like a good project. What's the plans?" Jason replied, intrigued by the prospect of further improving their shared space. "We're thinking about adding more interactive modules, maybe even a virtual reality zone. Could use your input on the tech side of things," Mark suggested, adjusting the digital tablet in his hand that displayed various design ideas. "I'd be glad to help. VR could be a great way for everyone to experience different cultures firsthand," Jason noted, warming to the idea. "Great. Let's sit down over some coffee tomorrow and brainstorm," Carl proposed enthusiastically. "Count me in," Jason agreed with a nod. The following morning, the trio gathered in the station's cafe, surrounded by digital blueprints and notes. As they discussed the project, Jason noticed Zara walking past the cafe. On impulse, he waved her over. "Zara, we're planning some upgrades for the rec area. Want to join us?" Jason called out. Zara smiled and approached their table. "That sounds interesting. What are you thinking of adding?" Carl outlined their ideas, and Zara listened intently, occasionally nodding. "I love the VR idea. Maybe we could include an educational component about different species, cultures, and environments." "That's brilliant. It'd certainly add depth to the experience," Mark agreed, jotting down notes. As they delved deeper into the planning, Jason felt a renewed sense of purpose. The station wasn't just a place to live. It was becoming a vibrant community, largely due to their collective efforts. After the meeting, Zara pulled Jason aside. "Thank you for including me today. It's nice to be part of something that feels like it's building bridges between cultures. I'm glad you feel that way. It's important to us that everyone feels included," Jason said, genuine in his sentiment. "There's something else," Zara began, her voice hesitating slightly. "I've noticed since the Zeltrian night I feel different, more connected to everyone here, but especially to you." Jason felt his heartbeat quicken. "I felt something too, Zara. Like there's something more between us." Zara looked up at him, her luminescent eyes reflecting a mix of emotions. "Maybe we should explore what this is. Just us. I'd like that," Jason replied, his voice soft. "Maybe dinner? At my place? I could cook something from my world. Something special," Zara suggested, a hopeful tone in her voice. "I'd love that," Jason agreed, feeling a mixture of anticipation and excitement. As Jason walked back to his apartment later that evening, he couldn't help but feel that his life on the station was taking an unexpected and thrilling turn. The sense of community was stronger than ever, and now, the possibility of a deeper connection with Zara added a new layer to his interstellar adventure. He realized that these shared projects and collaborative efforts were not just improving their living space, but were also weaving a fabric of relationships that might just stand the test of time. Dinner at Zara's was an affair filled with new experiences, both culinary and cultural. Her apartment was decorated in the soft, ambient style of her homeworld, with lights that gently pulsed in sync with the music playing softly in the background. Jason arrived with a mix of nervous excitement, carrying a bottle of wine from a vineyard on Earth. "Welcome, Jason." Zara greeted him at the door, her apartment bathed in a soothing glow. "I'm glad you could come. Thanks for having me. This place looks amazing," Jason said, handing her the wine. "I brought something from Earth. Thought it might go well with whatever wonderful dishes you're preparing." Zara smiled, her skin shimmering slightly. "Thank you. I'm eager to try it. Come, let's start with something light." As they sat down, Zara served a dish that looked as if it had been crafted from tiny stars. It tasted like nothing Jason had ever experienced, a delightful explosion of flavors that seemed to dance on his tongue. "This is incredible, Zara. What is it?" Jason asked, genuinely impressed. "It's a traditional Zeltrian appetizer, made from the nectar of a flower that only blooms under our twin moons." "I'm glad you like it," Zara explained, her eyes sparkling. The dinner progressed with more dishes, each unique and more intriguing than the last. As they ate, their conversation delved deeper into their respective cultures. "Zara, how you find living here, among so many different species?" Jason asked, curious about her perspective. "It's fascinating. Each day is a learning opportunity, but it's not without challenges. Adapting to all the cultural nuances can be overwhelming at times." Zara replied thoughtfully. "I can imagine. It's a lot to take in," Jason nodded, understanding the complexity of her situation. "As for you, how do you manage to stay connected to Earth while being so far away?" Zara inquired, genuinely interested in his life. Jason paused, considering her question. "It's mostly through memories and keeping up with communications from home. And now, making new connections here, like with you and Carl. That's important, maintaining those ties," Zara agreed. Their meal concluded with a dessert that seemed to glow faintly in the dim light, adding an ethereal quality to the end of their evening. "Zara, this was amazing. Thank you for sharing so much of your world with me," Jason said, feeling a deep appreciation for the effort she had made. "I enjoyed it too. It's nice to have someone so interested in learning about where I come from," Zara responded, her tone warm. Jason lingered for a moment, not wanting the evening to end. "Would you like to do this again? Maybe next time I could cook something from Earth for you." Zara's smile widened. "I'd like that very much." As Jason walked back to his apartment later, he reflected on the evening. He had not only experienced new tastes and stories, but had also deepened his friendship with Zara. The station was becoming more than just a place to stay. It was becoming a place where he could grow and learn from others, building relationships that transcended cultural and species boundaries. The idea excited him, and he looked forward to what the future might hold, especially with Zara by his side. The communal spirit on the space station was at an all-time high following a series of successful cultural exchange nights. Inspired by their previous collaborations, Jason, Carl, and Zara decided to take it a step further by organizing a multicultural festival. Plans were quickly drawn up, and everyone on the station was invited to participate. One afternoon, Jason and Carl were in the middle of setting up booths in the main concourse when Zara approached, her steps quick with excitement. "Jason, Carl, I brought the banners we talked about. And look, I've also made some adjustments based on the feedback from last time," Zara announced, unfurling a series of bright, colorful banners. "Those look fantastic, Zara," Carl exclaimed, taking one end of a banner to help hang it. "This festival is going to be something else." Jason nodded in agreement, securing the other end of the banner. "It's amazing to see everyone coming together like this. Feels like we're really making a difference here." As they worked, Mark joined them, his arms full of digital display panels. "Hey, guys, I've got the tech ready for the cultural presentations. Where do you want these set up?" "Over by the main stage would be great, Mark. Thanks for handling the tech side of things," Jason replied, pointing towards a designated area. The group continued their preparations, chatting and joking as they went along. The atmosphere was light and collaborative, a testament to the bonds they had formed. Later, as the festival was in full swing, Jason found himself standing next to Zara, watching a dance performance by a group of Andromedans. The dancers moved with a grace that seemed to defy physics, captivating the audience. "This is incredible, Zara. I had no idea how diverse the talents and cultures here were until we started these events," Jason remarked, his eyes still fixed on the performance. Zara's skin glowed softly in response, a sign of her pleasure. "It's beautiful, isn't it? Seeing everyone share a part of themselves like this. It's very moving." Jason turned to look at her, struck by her expression of genuine joy. "It is. And speaking of sharing, I've been thinking about our dinners. I really enjoyed them. It's made me feel more at home than I have in a long time." Zara met his gaze, her smile tender. "I feel the same, Jason. It's been a highlight for me, especially now during my mating season. The emotional connection, it's deeper." There was a pause as the dance ended, and applause broke out around them. Jason clapped along, then said, "Zara, would you like to go out for dinner again? Just us." "I would like that very much," Zara replied, her voice warm. "And maybe this time we can try something adventurous? A new place we haven't explored yet on the station." "An adventure sounds perfect," Jason agreed, excitement building at the prospect. As the festival continued around them, Jason and Zara spent the evening together, occasionally separating to attend to their hosting duties, but always returning to each other's side. The festival not only celebrated the diverse cultures of the space station, but also marked a significant moment in their relationship, deepening their bond amidst the vibrant expressions of heritage and unity. By the end of the night, as they were helping to clean up, Jason turned to Carl and Mark, who were stacking chairs. "Thanks for all the hard work, guys. Tonight was a huge success." Carl, wiping his brow, grinned. "Couldn't have done it without you two. This was teamwork at its best." Mark chimed in, "Absolutely. And it's not just about tonight. It's about how we're all coming together, making this place our own." With the festival wrapping up, Jason and Zara walked back to her apartment, hand in hand, their hearts full of hope and anticipation for the future. They had not only brought their community together, but had also woven a new thread into the fabric of their own growing relationship. A few weeks had passed since the multicultural festival, and the space station thrummed with a newfound energy. Residents greeted each other with more warmth, and the communal areas were often bustling with various small gatherings. In the midst of this lively atmosphere, Jason and Zara's relationship had blossomed, becoming a focal point of both their lives. One evening, as Jason was setting up a surprise for Zara in his apartment, Carl knocked on his door, a curious grin on his face. Hey, Jason, need a hand with anything? I saw you hauling in some pretty fancy cooking gear earlier, Carl offered, peeking over Jason's shoulder to see the elaborate setup inside. Actually, yes, I could use some help. I'm trying to recreate one of Zara's favorite dishes from her planet, and I'm a bit out of my depth, Jason admitted, leading Carl into the kitchen where ingredients from various planets were spread out on the counter. Looks like you've got quite the spread here. What's the dish? Carl asked, examining a strange, luminescent vegetable. It's called Luminara stew. It's supposed to have a light, bioluminescent quality. Not sure how to get that effect, though, Jason explained, looking slightly overwhelmed. Carl chuckled. Well, I don't know much about bioluminescent cooking, but I can certainly help you chop things up. Let's give it a shot. As they chopped and mixed the ingredients, Jason shared more about how his relationship with Zara had deepened. It's more than I expected, Carl. Being close to Zara, it's changed me. I feel more connected, not just to her, but to everything around me. That's the beauty of connection, Jason. It opens you up to new experiences and changes your perspective, Carl replied, stirring the stew thoughtfully. The door chimed, and Zara entered, drawn by the aroma. Something smells incredible, she said, her eyes lighting up as she saw the setup. Surprise! I attempted to make Luminara stew for you, Jason announced, a bit nervously. Zara tasted the stew, her face lighting up in delight. Jason, it's wonderful. How did you manage to get the luminescence? A little help from my friend here, Jason said, gesturing towards Carl with a grateful smile. The evening unfolded with laughter and heartfelt conversations. As they enjoyed the meal, Zara turned to Jason. You know, my mating season is nearing its end, but what I felt during this time, it's something extraordinary, especially with you. Jason took her hand, his expression serious. Zara, being with you has been incredible. I know it's your mating season, but I hope what we have continues beyond that. It will, Jason. What we have is rare, even among my people. To feel this connected with someone from another species, it's unprecedented, Zara explained, squeezing his hand. Carl, observing their interaction, raised his glass. To new beginnings and unexpected journeys. To new beginnings, Jason and Zara echoed, their glasses clinking together. As the night drew to a close, Jason and Zara sat together, watching the stars through the window. The space station, a small dot in the vast universe, felt like the most significant place in the galaxy at that moment. I didn't expect these consequences when I first met you during your mating season, Jason mused, his voice soft. Neither did I, Jason, but I'm grateful for them, Zara replied, her head resting on his shoulder. The chapter closed on them in quiet contemplation, their hearts and minds intertwined as deeply as their fingers, a testament to the unexpected and profound connections that can happen anywhere in the cosmos, even between two very different beings from distant worlds. As Zara's mating season waned, the deep connection between her and Jason continued to flourish, unaffected by the passing of the biological cycle that had initially intensified their emotions. Life on the space station resumed its usual pace, but for Jason and Zara, things had irrevocably changed. One morning, while preparing for a joint presentation on interspecies relationships for the station's Cultural Exchange Forum, Jason and Zara discussed their future. In a way, it's like we're pioneers, Zara, Jason remarked, lining up his notes for the presentation. Exploring new territories in interspecies relations. Zara, reviewing the slides they prepared, nodded. It feels like we're charting unknown waters, but I'm glad we are doing it together. Their discussion was interrupted by a knock on the door. It was Carl, accompanied by Mark, both beaming with excitement. Hey, guys! We heard about the forum today and wouldn't miss it for the world. Need any last-minute help? Carl asked, peering over at the display screen. Actually, could use a quick review. Make sure we're making sense to everyone, not just us, Jason replied, welcoming their input. As Mark and Carl reviewed the material, they offered insights and suggestions, helping to refine the message. You guys are really on to something here, Mark observed. It's not just about relationships, but how those connections can bridge cultural gaps. Exactly, Zara said. We want to emphasize the broader implications for community harmony and understanding. Satisfied with their preparations, they headed to the forum. The room was filled with a mix of species and races, all eager to learn from Jason and Zara's experiences. As they began their presentation, the audience listened intently, occasionally nodding or murmuring in agreement. Afterward, during the Q&A session, a Tetran from the back raised a question. How do you handle disagreements arising from cultural misunderstandings? Jason and Zara exchanged a glance, a silent communication they had perfected over time. Great question, Jason began. We've found that it's crucial to approach every disagreement with an open mind and a willingness to learn. It's about respecting each other's backgrounds and finding common ground, Zara added, and it's about patience and empathy, taking the time to really understand where the other is coming from, which strengthens a relationship. The forum ended with applause, and many attendees lingered to ask personal questions or share their experiences. As the crowd thinned, Carl and Mark joined Jason and Zara. You two did an amazing job. Makes me think we need more of these discussions, Carl said, clapping Jason on the back. Agreed. It's about building a community, not just living in one, Mark added. Later, as they all shared a meal in the station's communal dining area, Jason felt a profound sense of contentment. You know, I think what we're doing here, this dialogue, it's what makes the space station more than just a place to live. It's a community, a place where we grow and learn. Zara smiled, taking his hand. And to think, it all started with a simple act of neighborly kindness. Yes, and it's led to so much more, Jason said, squeezing her hand. As the stars outside the dining hall window continued their ancient paths, the connections within grew stronger, founded on mutual respect, understanding, and love. Jason and Zara, along with their friends, were not just surviving in space. They were thriving, building a vibrant community where everyone was welcome and valued. The final chapter concluded on this optimistic note, encapsulating the idea that even amidst the vast and often isolating reaches of space, humanity, and indeed all sentient beings, could find ways to connect deeply and meaningfully.